I think that we can take your pitching a lure skills to the next level really quickly. Well, pitching a lure, whether it's a soft plastic, a jig, a crankbait, yes, even crankbaits, is something that so many anglers rely on all the time, especially if you're fishing shallow cover in waters that have some stain or a little bit more cover to it. I can't even tell you how many fish that the pitching presentation has brought to the boat for me because of this singular skill. So it's something that all bass anglers go through the learning curve, but there's two common mistakes that I see all the time, and I think we can get you past them very, very quickly. So with the pitching setup, if you're new to it or you really want to practice it, go ahead and start off with a weight that's a little bit heavier. This happens to be a 1/2 ounce tungsten worm weight, got a big old trocar flipping hook on there and a rage craw. That little extra weight is really going to help you through the process. And if you've got a dual braking system or even a single braking system, take that magnetic brake or that external brake and go ahead and loosen it up just a touch, and that is going to help you as well. But as far as that first mistake that I often see when anglers are learning this process is they use too much arm. Pitching is all about the wrist, and here's the real key, the pendulum action of the rod. Let that natural swing of the lure do the work for you. If you've ever had a situation where that lure is coming down and then it goes up and then plops back down, that's usually a sign of we're either using too much arm or we're trying to pitch the lure too far. Our skills haven't quite got us to that distance yet. That lure should stay close to the water and it should enter as quietly as possible. There are times we like to skip it across. Very good presentation as well, but for the most part, a quiet lure entry is never ever going to hurt you. So step one is make sure you got the right amount of line. I like to keep it about just above the reel. If you have too much, it becomes too cumbersome. If you don't have enough, you don't get enough of that pendulum swing to it. And then go ahead and grab the lure. I just keep it up real close, just touch up here at the top. Some anglers like to hold down here on the bottom, wherever you're comfortable. And then when you go into the process, remember, let the rod do the work and it's all the wrist. So just let the wrist flick the rod and boom, and then follow it down. So you got that vertical drop. Put that lure in the water, give it some slack line, follow it down. There's not much to it. But if I tried to do too much arm, okay, I often get where I can't control the lure as well, and it's just not a controlled presentation, okay? You will get to the point where you can add a little more arm to it if you're trying to get that extra oomph, but when you're first starting out, wrist, all wrist, and then make sure that you let the lure, the pendulum action do the work. Now there are also anglers out there, you know, that like to put their arm up high and pitch. I like to keep my arm kind of low and really focus on that wrist, but you can put that arm up here as well. But once again, it's the wrist, 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 wrist. And a lot of that depends on, you know, your boat or where you're fishing on the bank, how much clearance you've got from the water. But either arm position here or here is going to be okay, but notice it is the wrist, all right? Now the second thing, the second biggest mistake is that we often follow the lure with our eyes. We kind of watch it or we're looking at our hands too much. You need to keep your eyes on target. So if I pick a target out, okay, I see one right there, just boom, keep that eye on it, follow it down. The lure, you can let go of it without looking at your hand, right? Takes a little bit of practice, but you've got to keep those eyes on target. Now, if you really become adept at doing this, a lot of anglers can pitch with their opposite hand or their non-dominant hand. I could be pitching with my other arm and then my hand can get to the reel very, very quickly. I've tried a bazillion times. I'm just not comfortable at it. Have I maybe missed some bites over the years? Yeah, probably. But, you know, when I do it like this, I've often got that hand switched. When that lure is only down an inch or two, that's just what I'm comfortable with. But if you can make that switch over, you're just going to be that much quicker, that many more presentations. And hey, it's a challenge as well for you. Now I've got a wonderful day here because I got leaves all over the water, which means if I want to sit down here on my dock and practice, I got so many targets here that I can go ahead and pitch this lure at. But remember, that key, that real key is not too much distance. Don't try to over pitch that particular lure. And hey, if you would like to watch a video about the pitch skip, which is an excellent presentation, and it's got that skipping action right across the surface, get it up underneath stuff, get that feeding instinct with that skipping lure type of a look, go ahead and watch this video right here, and make sure you go out and encourage someone today. You never know how you might just change their life. For the Bass Fishing Life, I'm your host, Steve Rogers.